What up, viewers? This is Two Mics Up. I'm Jon Michael Hill.
007.
What up, everybody? It's your man Dame D NYDC. It's Two Mics Up, Season 7 here on the Mogul TV Global Network. Man, look, I'm just going to just get into it today because today's guest is magnetic, and you understand why when you get to meet him, get to hear him, and we're going to encourage you to go out and check out his work because he really stands out. He really brings a presence, a magnetic presence, if you will, to the screen. And his latest work that I had the pleasure of watching, man, on Netflix, brother, blew me away. It was very touching. It was very reflective, if you will, of some of the things that's going on in our social community and society. And it's unfortunate, especially to what's going on in the Black community sometimes. But we're going to bring him out. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring to the stage today's magnetic guest, the amazing Jon Michael Hill. Jon, how you doing today, my brother?
I'm feeling blessed and highly favored. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man. Look, like I said, I'm excited. And we talked a little bit off stage. But before we really get into your body of work, Jon, I have to really start with you as the person. And I always like to ask, because it's interesting to me to find out what sometimes we think of ourselves.
Sure.
And with that, in 5 words or less, who is Jon Michael Hill? And why do you use those words to describe yourself?
Okay. First thing that comes to mind is melancholic. There's a lot going on in the world. You alluded to it a little bit, but I'm a sensitive dude. So whatever's happening in the zeitgeist, I sort of absorb, and it affects me on a day-to-day basis. So that kind of has been part of my personality for a long time. So I'm just sort of, affected by the things that go on, which may feed into my creativity. So that'll be my second word, creative. I don't just do one thing. I don't know. I think it's always been like that. I think, when I first started to learn to write in first grade, I was writing short stories. I always did that. Then I started acting in second grade and making music freshman year in college. So there are a lot of outlets and things, ways to express yourself that sort of have become a defining characteristic, I think, of my personality. So we've got melancholy, we've got creative. I would say imagination is another one. That was the thing I think that really got me started on this journey when I was a kid. The way books can take you on a journey, just whatever you can come up with, and then seeing if you can execute that some way. Right. I love just letting my mind wander. I'm actually writing a short story right now just to exercise that. Imagination is like a muscle. You really have to train it so that you can use it. Okay, so that's 3. I would say musical. I love music. Music affects our lives in so many different ways.
Yes.
I remember my band teacher talking about how back in like Mozart's time or something, they were talking about how music affected the body, and there was a word for like certain chord progressions that can change your chemistry. Yep. And that made sense to me on just like a very human level, that music, you just hear something and it can completely change. It affects your spirit. So I think music is a big part of my life. And I'll say adventure. I sort of started traveling a bit.
Okay.
Probably after I started getting on these TV shows and I had some time and resources. Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to see the world, man. I've been to, Japan, Ireland, Scotland, Italy, stuff like that. I just love being dropped in a new place and having to start from scratch and explore and be open. It's vulnerable in a way. You sort of have to ask people questions and but I love the time on my own as well. But
Yeah,
just adventure. Get out there and try something new.
I like that. So musically, because you bring it up, and we were talking, before we came out. You're actually in your multi-purpose room, and I see like a piano back there. So, like, what has been hot or musically? What have you been working on? Because I don't know why I feel like you have a lot of musical content that
Yeah.
maybe you've been sitting on, or are you working to put together an album or release something? That
Oh
we can
no, who
expect to
you been
hear?
talking to?
Hey, I'm just asking. I'm just going by what I see, brother. I'm just going, and I'm listening to you. You got the little mini machine, and you got everything going on, man.
Yeah, I starting from the beginning, my pops plays well, he pretty much can play anything you put in front of him, but his
Okay.
main instrument is bass guitar. And he was sort of in bands and stuff when I was growing up, and I'd go watch him play live, and that sort of got me interested in it. So I bought a guitar my freshman year, and so most of my songs early on were sort of folky singer-songwriter stuff,
Okay.
maybe a little bluesy. And then once I hopped on like Garage Band and all that, started making beats. Now I'm on Logic and Machine and
Okay.
learning other software.
All
I
right.
love composing it all. So I'll, play all the instruments on the keyboard here or plug in my guitar, do the drums on my beat pad here, and then hop on the track and see what comes out. And
So you
it's
doing
tough.
vocals too? You doing vocals too on your
I'm
music?
singing, I'm rapping, I'm doing it all. Yeah, man, my brother was sneaking in hip hop to the house because we were raised very conservative, but
Uh-huh.
Bone Thugs and Harmony was out. We were
Okay.
sneaking all kinds of stuff in and listening to it. So I've had a love of the MC, the lyricist for a long time, and
Love it.
so I hop on there and rap, and
That's
so
what's
does
up,
my
man.
brother.
Oh, man, I can't wait. I know we're gonna get some. We got to be getting something out of that
It's
sometime in
coming.
the future. It's coming. All right. Well,
Yeah,
man, we're gonna invite you back, man. When you drop, we're gonna invite you back, man. We're gonna chop it up about the album, man.
listen
I
to
love
it
it.
and we can talk. We have a good conversation.
Definitely, definitely, man. I love, man. Look, I'm a music head too, man. I'm from New York originally.
Yeah.
Love music, so definitely all genres of music. So we'll definitely chop it up, man. I really love that. But I want to get back into the lane here. About your TV career and your film career, man. You've really shined and had some real dope roles, man. CBS's Elementary, like I said, Netflix, man, in full. Which, man, I salute you on that one. I believe Widows. You was rocking with Spike Lee, Passover. Man, what has it been like, John? Like when you look back right now, because you're really just on that trajectory, in my opinion. You're going to take it to that next level. From
Oh,
and from God, from your mouth to God's ears. What I was always told.
yeah.
But what's been your favorite character so far, if you will, and why? Like, was there a reason why it resonated with you? Was it something going on in your life, or was just reading the script like, I could do this? And then when you got that call, you was like, yes, I'm gonna put that work in.
Man, this is tough. And I don't want to just say A Man in Full because it's the most recent, but there was something about playing a young man, Conrad Hensley, who sort of had everything in front of him. He's got a loving
Mm-hmm.
wife, a kid on the way, and just a bad day, a bad misunderstanding
Yeah.
escalates, and he gets swept up into the system. And it sort of highlights how easily Black men can get swept up
Mm.
into that system.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it also sort of illustrates that like certain people are allowed to have tantrums or a bad moment
Yeah.
and get a lot of leeway, and certain people aren't. And we talk about the two Americas, there
Mm.
certainly are. And I also feel like just the collaboration on that project with Regina King, she as a director, perhaps because she's such a great actor, was able to give me so much agency and freedom. I
Mm,
felt like our conversations about the scenes, she really approached it from a character standpoint,
right.
and helped ask questions and investigate why he's making certain choices, and how we can portray certain things. So I really appreciated
Mm,
the agency and the freedom and the challenge that she brought to that collaboration. It brought more out of me than I thought
mm.
possible. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Conrad and the Man in Full as my favorite TV role to date.
Hey man, and look, I like I said, I've watched the others, and you again, great work in the others, but A Man in Full was so real in today's society, and how culturally our community, the black community, still uh, tends to have to deal. Like I like how you put it. Some people are allowed to have tantrums, and good days and bad days, but it came across to me like just the preparation, right? Because you're dealing not only emotionally as a man, you're dealing with law enforcement, and then we got to really get a peek at a part of the judicial system
Yeah,
as it plays out sometimes for men of color. And I'm just wondering for you, like, I'd like to hear if you could share some more conversations. Like, how did that really play out? Because for me, watching it, it was exhausting, and
yeah,
it was almost like anger. It angered me as a man of color. So
mhm.
I'm just you having to really dive into that role. What were some of the conversations and things that you had to maybe mentally prepare for that you didn't foresee as you actually started getting it, diving into the role and actually filming, the series?
Yeah. That's interesting. You say that a lot of my friends have called and said watching that storyline gives them just a lot of anxiety, which I think means we are doing our job, because
Hmm.
what this man is dropped into is dehumanizing, and
Yes.
it's
Yes.
it's dangerous and it's unfair. He A lot of the time he says this is not right,
Yeah.
and I think that sentiment, this is not right, is something that we all experience as citizens in this society at some point or another,
Right.
in varying degrees. And just that overwhelming feeling of, what can I do? It's being taken out of my hands. The one thing I have is my integrity. And I feel like this character during this journey makes a choice that he's not gonna let this system label him something without a fight. And it sort of comes down to, are you willing to risk something because
Yeah.
for something that you feel is right?
Yeah.
And that's sort of at the center of it. When we were filming, there were news stories all the time about what was going on in Fulton County Jail, um, the conditions there. So reality was right there. You really didn't have to go far to tap into the circumstances. And it's all about personalization and
Mm,
imagining, going back to imagination, to imagining what it would be like for me in that situation. And I know it wouldn't be good.
yeah.
It's something I've had to think about a lot as a brother
Hmm.
in the country. So the prep wasn't so much his day to day, because we didn't go into a lot of his life and building that character. It was more of reacting to the
Mm,
stimuli, reacting to
gotcha.
the conflicts from scene to scene, and really being in the moment. And
Right.
that's a harder thing uh than it sounds. I feel like maybe some actors can just have it where they could just be right there in the moment, reacting to what's happening.
Right.
But we talk about being present in our lives. A lot of time you do have to take a moment and
Yep.
just experience the moment you're in. So I try to bring that to doing these scenes and say, hey, you're sitting in this courtroom, that judge is up there and he's got your future in his hands.
That's right. That's right.
What would that feel like? So
Mm.
that's pretty much, you have to really go there.
I like how you said that, and you ended with that visualization, if you will, of the judge really having your life in his hands. And really, like you said, living in the moment and experiencing these things. I know I've experienced certain interactions with law enforcement. Look, and I'm not
Same.
and I'm not knocking law enforcement. They have a tough job to do. It's a very difficult job.
Yeah.
But I was also a political justice major. I went to school, John Jay. I went to school with a lot of people who were active, in law enforcement at the time, and the conversations and different things kind of changed my perspective. But again, hard job. But I'm curious for you from, having your own personal interaction, and then now you've moved to the series and you play this role. Because I found myself and my wife and I having this conversation after, hindsight is 2020 when you can kind of see things, but I've tried to apply some of those things. And I felt now where I'm in my life, I would probably move differently or respond differently or act differently from playing that role and where you are now. Did you have some maybe retrospect on, your experiences and now maybe how you would, interact in a situation with law enforcement?
I've always been a sort of calm, like I'm slow to react. And Conrad is really fighting for his life in a way that I haven't had to. When the police ran up on me, they thought I had stolen my car, which was my father's car. Registration and everything was in order, but they just saw me and reacted and ran up on me at like a gas station or whatever.
Right.
And that situation, looking back on it, if I wasn't just sort of slow to react, calm type of dude, it could have gone very differently because I didn't know what was happening. Somebody just runs up on you.
Right.
So I think with Conrad's dealing with a lot and he's being assaulted. So I feel like it goes to the core of this question, like, do you have the right to defend your life? And lives mattering? If it matters, if his life matters to him, he's going to fight for it. He thinks he's being killed. So that's sort of where I'm at with that.
I like that. I do agree. Personality, demeanor. I do believe, upbringing, because some of us have come from exceptional homes. Unlike how sometimes the news likes to narrate and
that's right,
depict us, right? So because some of us can speak and do other things than play basketball or football or something like that. But I digress. That's a whole nother soapbox. I want to switch lanes though, because you also played another role and with another great director, Spike Lee, and Passover. And man, you played Moses. And kind of give some background about what it was like, because that's kind of like it's almost a switch, and it's kind of on the opposite spectrum, but it's very edgy and urban-ish, I guess, if you will. And you really had to really dive in, really, because it seemed like your character and the other co-character were really trying to find some type of definition, if you will, in life. And it seemed like every day we kind of went through this groundhog thing. And what was that like, being on set with Spike Lee and having to kind of play this out?
So Passover, for folks that don't know, started as a play. The general premise is two dudes trapped on a block, just a slab of concrete. And the playwright was sort of riffing on Waiting for Godot, where these two old men are waiting for Godot. Some people theorize they're waiting for God to show up, and he never does. And then you have this conversation. And it's very much like a Groundhog Day, where it's a repetitive thing. And it's an existential place. So she sort of said it, and Spike Lee actually made it more specific. She wanted it to be like any hood in America, this could be going on. And that's how prevalent it is. And it's transcendent of neighborhood. One of the changes that Spike Lee was interested in was making it specifically Chicago. That's where we did the play originally. And he also found folks from the West Side and South Side and brought them in to watch the taping of it. On this one Saturday. So I respected that he had a clear vision. That's his thing, man. He has an idea and he's gonna execute it. And he's
Right.
very strong-willed and just loud about it. And I appreciate that in him. You know what I mean? We always knew where we stood. Now, because we did that play, and then he got his hands on the script, said I wanted to film it. It worked out
Mhm.
with Amazon Studios. Um, he didn't really have much for us in terms of direction, so I didn't get to collaborate with him as much as I would have hoped to, and hope I get to in the future. He
Right.
was mostly working with the cameramen. We didn't have a lot of time, so he set up about 11 cameras around our theater and was really making sure they captured certain
Gotcha.
moments. And we just did it live that Saturday, and then we
Wow.
came back on a Sunday, and he did little pickups and everything.
Wow.
And yeah, he's a character, man. I think he's just one of the best we have, one of the best
That's
to
what's
ever
up.
do it. And I think that comes from his imagination is
Yeah.
so astute and sharp,
Hmm.
and he goes about his business. So I really do hope I get another crack at it with him. But that was a unique experience. I've never done anything like that.
Yeah, but I say one day. I mean, we getting all this one day live, and then you just come back next day and you just take a couple of more cuts, shoots,
Yeah,
and you put it all. I mean, that's pretty awesome, man. And I hear your excitement. Just listening. As a creative.
yeah.
And as a person who has an imagination to be in awe of someone such as, because I know I wouldn't be able to work. I'd probably be probably watching him watch me and watch everybody else, man. Because I mean, I just think, like you said, I think we should give our flowers, to those, while they're still here. Because I mean, he's done amazing work
Yeah,
throughout his career, and I think he's brought so much talent, like yourself and all the others. From all the way back when Giancarlo and
yeah,
Wesley and all of these greats, man, that he's really helped, bring to life for us. So I mean, kudos to him.
yes,
And I'm curious too, John. Then you talked about working with Regina King and collaborating with her. You also worked with Jeff Daniels. Another, I think, another great
yeah.
that we don't sometimes doesn't get talked about. You know, what was it like, man, being on that? I see you there. What was it like? What takeaways and what feedback and what kind of energy was it on set with him?
What can I say? He, first of all, is embodying a character who, in the books, is larger than life and representative, really, of a whole like era.
Yeah,
He is
yeah,
the quintessential sort of Southern patriarch type dude, and he is fighting for his legacy. Everything is under threat, so the stakes are high. His personality is enormous. So I was interested to see how he was going to embody that, because I've seen him as an intellectual in the newsroom, of course, Dumb and Dumber, things
hmm
like that, and he's also a stage actor.
right.
Um, but when, yeah, first day, he knows. He always wants everybody to know their lines. He don't spend no time wasting blowing takes because of lines and stuff like that. He's
Right.
like, no, 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 no. Let's know everything cold when you get there, so that all our time can be spent making this thing as good as it could be.
Wow.
And I think he really took the pressure of the role on his shoulders. And from the first scene, it takes place at this character's birthday. He walks in the room and he's just like larger than life, taking everything in. And Jeff really brought that bravado to the role in a way I hadn't seen him before. And I think Regina did an interesting thing with casting, where a lot of the people were playing roles that I hadn't really seen them in before. So this, I think he really stepped up to the plate, and he's sort of a guy that kind of holds people accountable. He wants
That's what's
everybody to
up.
be on the same page. You know what I mean?
I
We're
love
taking a
it.
big risk. This is a satire. This is
Right.
like you're swinging for the fences with a lot of this stuff. So he wanted to make sure everybody was going with him. But yeah, cool guy. Plays music, plays guitar.
All right.
Um, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
he's a
love
good
it.
dude.
I love it, man. Look, John, time flies so fast, man. We're coming to the back end of the conversation, and
Okay.
I have to ask, before we close, what can you share and what can we expect, to see next from you? Because we already know the music thing's happening. We're gonna get back on that, y'all. But what else is in the future for Jon Michael Hill?
You know what I'm excited about? You mentioned how people think of the families we come from. Everybody's got an opinion about Black America and all that kind of stuff. And I just wanted to tell stories that I know from the good men that I know and the good people. So me and some friends sort of are developing a television show. I can't really talk about it a lot, but it'll be a half-hour comedy, dramedy kind of thing that is dealing with fatherhood in some ways, but mostly Black male masculinity and friendship. So it just centers on this group of friends, and I just wanted to, there were roles I don't really get to play a lot where it's just everyday people, and trying to make people laugh and think and look at our society and our perceptions of Black men. And I think we've found a really interesting exploration of that that's not doesn't always get portrayed. So I'm excited to continue to work on that with the homies. I think we've got a good team, and so I'm very excited about that writing project. I got a play coming up back in Chicago. We start rehearsal in September. I think that goes up around Halloween at Steppenwolf. It's called Leroy and Lucy, a new play that deals with the Robert Johnson myth. You know that myth?
I'm vaguely familiar.
It's
but
blues musician down at the crossroads. The legend has it sold his soul to the devil to be able to play guitar better. But I think she's playing with that myth because I think she's like, so the Black man had to sell his soul to the devil to be able to play. He's like, I don't think she loves what that implies. So I'm excited to delve into that play soon.
I'm looking forward to it, man. Look, ladies and gentlemen, it's the amazing, the magnetic Jon Michael Hill. Make sure you look out for him, John. Before we drop your, give us your social media. I want everybody to go out and follow you, and we'll make sure we drop that down in the notes. We want our audience to go out and follow and support the work that you're doing, man.
So Instagram's really all I'm using is Jon Hill M as in Michael at gmail.com. So Jon Hill M. Come follow. I'll be putting stuff that I'm up to on there. Mostly it's like pics of family and me doing stuff.
Yeah, well, we're gonna go ahead. You got it right there, ladies and gentlemen. Hit him up on IG, Jon Hill M. John, thank you so much, man, for taking time out. Been a great conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching today's conversation with Jon Michael Hill, man. Support Season 7, Mogul TV Global Network. Man, we rocking and rolling. We're in 42 countries now, over 100 million viewable subscribers. Check us out. Follow Two Mics Up across social media, IG, Facebook, X, and YouTube at Two Mics Up. And if you happen to be watching this today on YouTube, make sure you go ahead, you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell before you walk out the door so you can be notified by all the newest content coming from us to you here at Two Mics Up. And like we do at the end of every show, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to do 3 things. Stay safe, stay blessed. Mics out.
007.